So this is an interview with Milo Yiannopoulos that's currently going viral because he's claiming now that he is ex-gay. He is no longer gay. So, while this is obviously coming from a fraudster like Milo, and it's pretty clear he's doing this for money because apparently he's signed to like this organization now to make some money because remember, he was broke as shit and didn't have any money. And now he's trying to support this, spiritual movement to cure your gayness or whatever. Obviously, it's very dangerous, but also there's definitely a deeper conversation to be had here about this because it's, this is so horrible, so bad, right? But just to read exactly, this stuff, here's what it says, okay? This is the question being posed. It says, last summer you posted on Parler pictures of members of the Changed movement with the caption, look at these beautiful souls rid of their demons and cured of their sinful urges. Can't you tell they've been saved? I can. Are you now able to add your picture to theirs with that same caption? Milo responds saying, no, and I don't suppose I'll ever be brave enough to declare it as a thing of the past. I treat it like an addiction. You never stop being an alcoholic. As for the Changed movement, I guess because you're Californian, they don't see how funny their website is. Maybe they're dirty non-doms who think God loves you more the gayer you act. But I was slightly making fun of them with that caption. Someone really ought to tell them to use more heterosexual looking photos on their website. I can share some tips. And then also it goes on to say the question is, in what ways has this impacted your personal and social life? And he says, well, the guy I live with has been demoted to housemaid, which hasn't been easy for either of us. It helps that I can still just about afford to keep him in Givenchy and a new Porsche every year. Could be worse for him, I guess. He's lying about that because the guy is broke. He doesn't have the kind of money for that. And I guess he's consecrating his life to Saint Joseph. And he says, secular attempts at recovery from sin are either temporary or completely ineffective. Salvation can only be achieved through devotion to Christ and the works of the Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. Saint Joseph is the spiritual father figure of the Holy Family. In this time of gender madness, devoting myself to the male protector of the infant Jesus is an act of faith in God's holy patriarch and a rejection of the terror of transsexuals. Trannies are demonic. They are the galley, the castrated prince of blah, 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 whatever. A bunch of other stuff. So basically this is an interview he's given here again. This is mostly he's doing this for money, but it is very clear that he has self-hatred for himself because he's a religious guy, but he's gay. And as you guys know, it's totally a sin in the New Testament, and in the Old Testament it says that you're supposed to be killed if you are gay. So that's what the Old Testament says. The New Testament doesn't have that, but it does say that it is a sin, so you're going to burn in hell for that. I don't know if you guys remember this clip. I remember watching this way back in like 2015 because Secular Talk had made a video about it where Milo was talking to Joe Rogan about this, and he was saying, Joe Rogan was asking him, like, if there was a gay switch pill where you could turn straight, would you take it? And he said yes, and he couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe he was saying that. And so this is a really big problem, right? Your identity is who you are. So when you talk about the difference between like older, more traditional hierarchical structures, in terms of like even looking at this from political science perspective, old hierarchical systems was you were born into a class and you live that way the rest of your life. You're born into the serfs or being a peasant or whatever, a nobleman, that's what you are for the rest of your life. But modern day associational hierarchies aren't as much about what you're born into. It's essentially to give everybody the opportunity to be malleable and be able to prove their talents and stuff. But basically there are things that are your identity that you are born with. You cannot choose your sexuality, and that's why when he explains here he basically is talking about, he's saying, I treat it like an addiction because he's not just going to stop being gay. It's not going to happen because he is gay. But he's just trying to basically, he hates himself because he knows that it's a sin in the Bible and what it says. And I know that there are a lot of Christians who are trying to change their interpretation of the Bible to make it so that it's not homophobic or anti-gay. You simply can't do that because the literature is simply there in both the Old Testament and the New Testament. So that's a failed movement. But religion always does that when they get proven wrong or something is deemed to be immoral. You just change anything in there to suit whatever you believe. But this is really serious stuff where you hate your own identity, who you are, right? And the key really thing for who you are is the question of, can you change it? And now there are some exceptions to this, maybe like you're really into a certain occupation or something like that, but somebody wants you to change it because they don't accept of you being, whatever occupation you are or something like that. You can technically change your occupation, but, you may have like a serious love for that occupation that will never go away. So there are certain things, your sexuality, your race, these are the kinds of things that simply cannot be altered. I don't watch baseball. I don't know shit about baseball. I don't know how I got into like this rabbit hole. I think I started out with watching the Houston Astros cheating video, and then I went down through like the steroid hole videos of Barry Bonds and Alex Rodriguez and all those guys. And Sammy Sosa is a good example of this, right? Absolutely disgusting what he did. He's Dominican, he's black, obviously, and somehow years later, I mean, the guy just turned fully white, and everyone's like, what the fuck? And he whitened his skin, and I guess studies showed that Dominicans are not happy to be black. They totally resent it. They say no, we're not, because it's viewed as lesser, and that's disgusting. You should embrace who you are, and that is the nastiest thing, is when you can't accept who you truly are. Especially because there's no reason to, right? Like, the Bible is bullshit. So, and I hope a lot of people realize that as society progresses. Like, hey, a lot of the stuff in here doesn't make any sense. What is wrong with being gay? It doesn't make any sense. It's observed in nature that animals are gay, so it's pretty clear. Nature obviously being things that are not with humans, things happening in nature outside of human life. So it already exists in nature. As long as there's two consenting adults, what is the issue? That's the real question. So there's no real logic behind being anti-gay, obviously, unless you were to say my religion is against it, which that's logical if you are religious, I guess, but at some point you do got to realize that that shit's not real. But this does serious damage to people. It really does. Like, just sit right there where you are and just think about all of the people who have gone through such hardships and such identity crises or just total torment, pain, because they know their families wouldn't accept them, because they grew up religious, they were brainwashed, they're gay, and they know that the religion says that that's a sin, they're going to burn in hell for it, but they're not just going to stop being gay. And the reason why more people are coming out now is because people are more comfortable, because people are accepting of that. People have always been gay, always. Okay, a lot of people have always been gay, and they just couldn't come out because they faced, being ostracized, and in a lot of parts of the world just being killed. So it's really sad to see this. Obviously, a lot of this has to do with him trying to get money, because he's fucking broke. He didn't have any money. He has no money sources. So he's lying about the whole Porsche thing or whatever he said. But there's serious roots of him hating himself. And I just hope that, as society progresses, people will realize, it's okay to be who you are, as long as it's a good thing, obviously, right? As long as there's nothing morally wrong with what it is. So if it's two consenting adults and you're gay, I mean, you know what I mean? What's wrong with that? So as long as it's not morally wrong, obviously, be who you are, your race thing. Again, the key really phrase here is anything that isn't malleable, anything that can't be changed. And that's really the key here. So this is really sad. The Sammy Sosa situation is really disgusting. And, a lot of people are going to say this is, what Dave Rubin is going to do sometime soon. This definitely, I do think, wow, this says Dominican Republic. That's a little bit spooky. But, is Dave Rubin going to do this as the grift? Probably not. Likely because he's not going to give up that card, right? The card, he has a couple of cards, right? Being gay and, conservative, and the other ones being former TYT host and conservative and all that stuff. So I don't think he wants to give up that card. But this is sad, man. It really is sad, especially because think about the millions of people who are going through this, on a daily basis. It's just people hating who they are. You're not going to change your sexuality. It's not possible. there's a reason why you have those urges on a consistent basis throughout your entire life, and it's not morally wrong, right? Something is not morally wrong, and you have that urge to do it, then it's fine. You know what I mean? You are who you are, accept it, and yeah, celebrate it. This is really bad.